Can they be changed? The answer is yes. Terms and conditions can be changed. So, you know, don't ever allow an employee to sort of say to you, well, my terms and conditions you can't change those. Actually, yes, we can, but we do need to give somebody reasonable notice. So we might need to change a set of T's and C's because of legislation. So something in legislation might have changed. For example, national living wage. We might want to just issue our staff that will now be part of the national living wage a letter to say your T's and C's have changed because your hourly rate's now changed to this. Or we might look to then do a harmonisation of T's and C's because a small factor of the T's and C's have changed, but actually we want to use it to get everybody on the same template and everybody on the same document. And that's, you know, that's quite common with a harmonisation project. If it's something more key, like you want to agree that somebody has a longer notice period, so if you've got somebody that's of particular value to the business and has a lot of business understanding and business knowledge, you might want to increase their notice period to make it difficult for them to leave. No, not really. Well, yes, really, but to add particular value and make it their role a bit more weighted around how important it is that they stay with the business. Or equally, if they choose to leave, you're safe in the knowledge that you've got a good period of time for a handover and a transfer of that knowledge to happen. What we can't do is issue a unilateral change to T's and C's. So you can't change, if you've got 20 factory workers and you want to change all of their T's and C's because you want to change the working hours, or you want to change the pension or something like that. What you can't do is form a unilateral approach to changing T's and C's and not give it any notice or consultation around that. That is a fundamental breach of employment law, and would probably be pursued for that because it's not really right. So we would enter into negotiations around that. If we wanted to change 19 or more terms and conditions, we would enter into a consultation process that is governed by the ACAS Code of Conduct. So you're both familiar with the ACAS Code of Conduct? Yeah, heard it referred to. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So any business that, and particularly with your business page that doesn't necessarily have an HR department, they may look on ACAS for statutory key guidance around things like that, because not having an HR department to draw information from, they'd need to go to one central place of information. And ACAS is great at being that resource for really small businesses that don't have a need for a wider HR team. So the ACAS consultation process is normally the consultation procedure that is followed, unless a company creates its own but has to use ACAS as a base and build on that. So it can only be basic ACAS or better. So we would enter into negotiations and make sure that we handle that all above board, and certainly have a representative that we negotiate with if it's a large population of people, so maybe 150 or something like that, or maybe even 50. We'd allow the workforce to nominate one person or a small group of people that we might liaise with as a representation of that population of staff. Where it's a smaller group, so 19 or less, or less than 20, we don't need to follow. ACAS doesn't have a particular procedure to follow, but I would always advise following what would be a fair and reasonable procedure. So, you would probably still want to have negotiations and have consultation meetings to talk about those changes that you're making to the terms and conditions, and for it to be within a reasonable time frame that everybody has the possibility of attending. So you wouldn't necessarily schedule it always in the daytime. If you've got a large proportion of night shift people that affects, you try and make it fair so that everybody can attend.